Hello, beautiful souls. All right, so it's morning. I just dropped Madison off at school, and I just wanted to talk about a couple things that I'm noticing. This will be a short little video. So I want to talk about confusion. And, on this awakening journey, right? It's funny, I was going to say, we don't really ask for awakening. Some would say that, we have a soul contract, we signed up for this. Yeah, okay, I'm not saying not that, but a lot of us were living a completely different life when we began to awaken, whether it be our gifts come online or, maybe we begin to, maybe we had a tarot card reading, or we started to, embrace more of our spiritual nature, whatever it was. Well, here's the thing. Really what awakening is becoming aware of the programming and societal expectations, familial, whatever expectations that we have taken on as our own, instead of living our own authentic life. So for me, it's been this thing of unwinding all of those expectations. All of those things that I used to do to feel validated. All the things I used to do so I would feel worthy. What was coming in earlier is the job, the relationship, the kids, the house, the picket fence, all of the things I bought in to the idea of an American dream. Here is the line. This is, this means you've succeeded in this life. This is what you're supposed to do. It's all bullshit. Because what happens is you have the job, right? And yeah, you might do your job really well. But how many people do their job and then leave and still have work-life balance? Because the thing is that when we get our value and our worth from our job, just because of how we are as, these creatures, we do it more and do it more and do it more. And sometimes it requires more personal time to be successful. To continue to, do better than we did last month. Anyway, I am not, okay, we need money to live in this society. Even if you decide to live out in the middle of nowhere and live on somebody else's land, which is the idea of ownership, is you still will need money for things. If you need, you can grow your food, but, at some point you will need things. Don't get me wrong. Most people are completely out of whack and overloaded with their things, their stuff. They don't need that much. But to allow our jobs to take over our lives, and that's what's happening. The amount of people that I know that have to work 2 jobs right now to make ends somewhat meet with the increase in everything is absolutely nuts. Gas, I live in Washington State, right? Well, gas is approaching $6 a gallon. And I've never seen it that high. And even with my like discounts from my grocery thing, like I get $1 off, it was still $4.59 or something, which that was like the high from before. My kids for Mother's Day, they bought steaks, and they were like, what the? Yeah, steak is expensive right now. It's not going to go back down either. Anyway, so what's weird, and I was going to write about this. I can't remember if I already did or not, but you know, this idea that we're awakening more and more to what is programmed, what wasn't really ours. And you know, it's like taking other people's, or you know, societal, familial, whatever it is, you know, idea of success and being like, oh, that's good, I'll take that. Well, it's not fulfilling because it's not our own. It doesn't take into account our own passions, right? Our own gifting and what it is we're actually doing here. So that is the question. What are you actually doing here? That is the question for me too. What am I actually doing here? Because as things become more confusing, we need to know the answer to that, because we're going to have to prioritize what is important to us. Because, you know, we have a certain amount of energy that we can put into things. And I'm just tired of putting my energy into anything that isn't expansive. You know, the more I feel like I'm a hamster on a wheel, the more detached I get from anything having to do with that way of life. And for me, that is awakening, being aware of the programming. But what I'm also noticing is that, you know I've talked about this before, but what is dream time? Like, we kind of get an idea, we're awake, we're moving through, you know, some people say this is like a simulation. I don't believe it's a simulation. I believe it is a reality. I also believe there are other realities simultaneously happening. But what's so interesting is that last night I had a dream where I was a teacher. And I am a teacher. Like, that is my profession in this life. Besides being a spiritual guide. But I was back in the classroom in the same way that I used to be. And there was this other guy that was there, and he got there a day early because he was a sub, but he got there a day early to figure out the lay of the land, to do the job. And I just was like, this feels weird. He's hourly. Like, he gets paid for the number of hours he's there. And and it was funny because I was like, oh, he's, you know, very dedicated. But is that really what that is? I feel like we are being programmed in sleep state. Especially those of us that don't subscribe to television. Like, we're not having the ads. We're not watching this stuff. I don't have TV. I can stream every once in a while, but you know what? Even though I can, I do not watch TV even every week. Lately, my daughter wants me to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay. But I am not fine. There is not any, I don't ever get the feeling like I used to get of, I just want to sit down and watch a show or be invested I used to like soap operas. I don't know when I just stopped watching them. I couldn't care less. But what's so funny, that's coming in my dream time. And there's been a few different things like that. Because I also will not settle in relationship. And it's hard right now for me. I'm going to say it's hard. It's hard to be lonely. I'm not fully lonely because I still have kids at home. But I miss that companionship. The having somebody to share everything with. Somebody that I can count on to ask for help, to ask for guidance, and to be that for somebody else, and somebody to have fun with. Like, for the regular, to turn the mundane into more magic, which I'm really good at that, but I'm tired. It's almost like, like being a single person, we're barely making it financially right now. And so you see a lot of, this happened in the 80s, right? You saw a lot of 2-income households, and there was a lot of affluence because we went from 1 to 2. Well, the same is true now. But what I'm noticing, not only is that financial, but it's also energetic. Because for me, when I'm with somebody who is not a drain, anyway, who brings something energetically to the table, my energy gets huge. And I'm noticing that. That's not how I am. That's not how it is right now. And I am dating again, heaven help me, because there's a lot of guys that just, I'm not going to settle. I'm not easily bamboozled. Yes, you can call it my wounding, and I don't even care. Like, I have been hurt. We all have been hurt. I'm going to go slow. I do not trust some glamour bullshit. So, the guys that are like, yeah, I want to see if there's chemistry. Yeah, okay. I get it. Chemistry is one important part of a relationship. Compatibility is way more important to me. I don't know how I got started talking about this. But anyway. But what I'm noticing is that to live in this world right now, which is, I believe that we are going through an individual awakening, expansion, becoming more authentic, which is really important also for the collective. But in order to thrive in this energetic environment, we need a partner. And it's not, you don't need to get married. It doesn't need to be through the state. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having somebody to have your back, to work through, to bounce energy off of, to manage energetically. It's hard right now. When you're having a hard time, they help prop you up, vice versa. You know what I mean? But there's something happening in dream time where we're being programmed, especially those of us who do not watch TV. We don't watch the news. We're not taking in the frequencies of conformity, of this is right, this is what you need to be doing. We don't do that anymore. And so they're able to reach us in our dream state. Even those of us that are very protected normally. So just notice for yourself. Because we were told that our dreams reveal our subconscious. Which, if that is true, that's great. I've been spending a lot of time in shadow work. I got no problem. It doesn't feel great, but it's juicy. Right? It's like when you bite into a really juicy watermelon. It tastes good, but it is a freaking mess. And you know that you're going to have this juice dripping all over your face, down your front. And not really a big deal, a minor inconvenience. That's what this feels like. And so, but there is this belief that our subconscious is revealed to us through our dreams. And like I said, that's great if that's true. But if our dreams are being used to program us and we believe that it's our subconscious, you see how that can be confusing, manipulative, like taking us further off track. So that's what I've been doing, is thinking about that, wondering what is this? What am I doing here? I thought I had a pretty good handle on it until I had my most recent, I guess it was an upgrade. I get body chills, but it doesn't feel like an upgrade. Anyway, yeah. So, I don't know. Now I don't know again. And the thing that's different now is that I know how to get the answer. It's not by looking outside of myself. It's not by going to get some tarot reading. It's not by asking out anyone. The answer is revealed within me, to me, when I start asking questions and figuring out what's really important to me. You know, and for me, a lot of it, I have not really been aware of what's important to me. I was so busy doing all the things for all the people and not necessarily tapping in and being super in tune with what I wanted. So that is this deep dive for me into what feels like the next month and a half, 2 months, is what is it that I really want in my life in this next chapter. What do I need to do differently to bring those things, to, magnetize myself to bring those things into my reality? And I intuitively know that that is not going to feel great. I'm going to have to put myself out of my comfort zone, because I'm growing. It's like a snake shedding a skin, man. At a certain point, it's got to go. It is holding us back. That is what this energy is right now. It's time to let go what is holding you back so that you can expand into this next phase. And really look at what you value and get rid of what you don't. Because it might just be because somebody told you that it was important, or that it was worth money, or that it makes people see you a certain way. Who cares? Oh, I know what it was. Seriousness. So this next period of time is for me to start taking myself less seriously. And that might sound weird. Things are hard. And so what can I do to have more fun? To be more lighthearted? To simplify everything so that I am able to have those moments of childlike wonder. You know, I talked about the magic in the mundane moments. That when we get too serious, we don't even notice. Become less of a robot, more of a real person. Less like the puppet Pinocchio and more like the real boy. So that's what I'm focusing on, is becoming more real over this next little bit. And it's going to mean maybe going and swinging at the park. You know, it's going to be getting out in nature more, because that's where I feel more connected to everything that is. You know, so there's things that you can do too, whatever they are. Ask yourself. I know, you know, go into meditation, go into contemplation. You know, whether you know, just know things like I do, or you can use a pendulum, or you can body test it. But get good at saying, is this for me? Is this something I should try? You know, is this gonna help me become more aware of myself? Anyway, there's my little tidbits for this wet Wednesday morning here in the Pacific Northwest. And I'm sure I'll be back with more of a message, but for some reason I was tapped to talk about these things that I'm noticing. And notice the programming. Notice the values, the societal or familial values that are showing up within you where you don't really, you took it on, but it doesn't mean anything to you, because we are here to embody our soul. Our soul has, and the Buddhists would disagree with me, but I believe the soul has certain desires of things it wants to experience here. Go experience. Less serious, more experience. Anyway, I love you guys. Bye.